Start recording. Yeah, so welcome to the management coordinator hustings for the as part of the LGBTIQA plus Greens hustings in 2025. We have the candidates here, uh, a job share of two candidates, but I don't think the other candidates are here. So yeah, just we have Melanie and Dylan, and yeah, opening statements. Do you want together or do you want to do individual? I'm good with whatever.
Let's do a
Go with
quick
individual on
individual.
this. Yeah. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. So, no star, Melanie Earp Dewey. I think I'm still technically a member of Trafford Green Party because the updating of the membership scheme processes takes a while, but I'm technically now in North East Wales. And it's lovely to be here with you, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Hi everyone. My name's Dylan Lewis-Creser. I'm a member of Sheffield Green Party. Might be able to tell from my accent, not originally from Sheffield. I used to be a member of Northamptonshire Green Party, but moved up to the glorious north a couple of years ago now. And I'm also standing with Mel to be the management coordinator. Cool. Right. So let's see. First question is from Kate Hatton. He asks, will you be ensuring the party as an employer follows the Disability Confidence Scheme, regardless of whether the motion to conference passes? And it seems additionally there's a question of, will you be ensuring that we have an EEDI manager as a staff role in the party?
Well, I think
I
in terms
guess,
of
yeah.
like having, I think the short answer to that is yes. I think it's really important that we have kind of we follow schemes that are nationally recognised to represent. Because essentially, if I want to explain the role of the management coordinator, a big part of it is managing our workforce. So it's less of a like front of house political role and more of managing internal Green Party affairs, managing workforce and staff, and making sure that they feel supported, they're well directed, they're well guided, and they have the policies in place to make sure that they can thrive in both themselves and the work they do. We would obviously, I think both me and Mel would agree that the Diverse Matters report should be implemented in full in regard to our role. And that includes the Disability Confidence Scheme. Because I supported the EDI accreditation and memberships motion previously. I don't think I have at this conference because the four co-proposal slots are very, very thin on the ground, unfortunately. But absolutely, we'll back that motion. But even if it doesn't pass, I think it's just a really important way we get people on board and make sure that our staff feel supported in the Green Party, because that's really what the management coordinator is there to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to build on that, I think it's been the vacant post for the EEDI manager has been vacant for far too long. It's something when I was on GPRC that we raised repeatedly that needed to be addressed and offered to give support, advice and assistance in regard to getting that filled. It needs to be filled. We can't have a situation where we have no formal representation in terms of EEDI within the party. And I think that that's really got to be a very key sort of pressure point that we push and apply pressure to make sure that role is filled. With regards to disability confidence scheme, absolutely, Cade. Yes, I would completely agree with everything that Dylan has said.
Cool. Right, let's see. It looks like Darius's question has been answered. Um, Sorry, one second. I've just
Yeah,
been
there's a
messaged
question
by
from
Chris
Rachel.
about something. Yes, there is a question from Rachel. Sorry, I genuinely was just checking something. There was a
Sorry.
notification up in the top corner. Um, which motions to conference do you think would be most helpful to the role if they are passed?
This is a. I have one that comes to mind straight off, which is the motion by James Vesey Miller to make sure that our trade unions give an annual report to the annual general meeting. I think that's really important to make sure that our staff feel welcome and secure in the Green Party, and that the organisation can be held accountable for how we treat our staff. But obviously, Green Party is a membership organisation. We mainly focus on getting elected, we're focusing on getting Greens elected everywhere and our membership. But it's also important to note that in this position, we'll be managing the many, many people that make that success possible. And without kind of giving them a practical outlet to air their grievances and to make sure that they feel that we can be held to account, GPEx can be held to account, the party can be held to account on this. I think it's really important.
Yeah, my view would be the motion that Joe Hudson Small has put forward about looking at how the governance structures are actually organised and operated. It's something, again, that on GPRC that we worked on a different motion, but a very similar one to look at amalgamating and sort of streamlining GPEx and GPRC to make the governance function work much better. I think there are real difficulties with understanding across the party as to what the different roles are, what everyone's doing, how the two different governance bodies interact, and there is sort of quite often a sort of brushing up against and in a not helpful way, in a not productive way. And I think that motion would actually streamline policy, streamline governance, and get us all working much more collaboratively. And a properly functioning governance, it's really very dull. It's not a sexy part of the party. It's not sort of, making great political and policy strides, but actually good governance working well is a really key way to making sure the party is supported. And actually the key issues that we want as a political party, the time is freed up to make those actually happen. So really getting those governance things in line is really where my interest would be.
Cool. So we have a question here from Catherine Bristol, and she asks, what would you do to reduce burnout of staff and improve mental health slash wellness?
I will jump in straight away, Dylan, if you don't mind. I think actually what we need to really be key on, we have a whole raft of really excellent policies that we voted for across conferences and we support. Minimum wage policies, a 4-day working week policy. We have all of these policies in place, and yet we don't consistently apply them to our staff. And we have staff who are working really long hours over and above what they should do. 4-day working week isn't even within their grasp for most of them because we are understaffed. We're getting better. The last report I saw from GPEx, the pay was getting much nearer to our minimum pay standard. But actually, we cannot go out in public and say, these are our policies that if we got into government, we would want to apply. If we can't apply them to our own party, and we can't look after our own staff's welfare. So I think that's the really key thing that we need to be pushing to make sure that we actually practice what we preach.
Yeah, totally agree with Mel on that. I don't think I have anything else to add.
Cool. We have a question from Rachel again, and that is, what do you think about the party's current safeguarding provision, and how would you change slash improve it if applicable?
I think.
Sorry, I was going to say, Dylan,
Sorry, no,
I think a great example. One of the last conversations I had whilst chair of GPRC was regards to Jodie coming in as the new safeguarding officer, and the fact that there was a real need for a complete review and overhaul of the safeguarding policy. It's out of date. It hasn't been updated. I haven't checked if it has been. I'm sorry, I've been moving house slash country over the last few weeks. But we need to be on top of safeguarding. We need to have structures where if people report a safeguarding concern into the party, it doesn't disappear into the ether. And where safeguarding is front and foremost. We advocate very much. We advocate for voting at 16. We advocate for having an under 18s Greens. We advocate for having young Greens, which will include those who are within the sort of EHCP provisions up to 25 who are classed as vulnerable. We have a lot of vulnerable adults potentially within the party. And if we do not have a proper safeguarding policy in place, where that is front and centre and everyone is aware of it and knows where to go and it is actioned if something comes in, then we are failing those members, and that is dangerous.
And in relation to kind of the practical ways that previous safeguarding kind of policies failed in the party, one kind of thing comes to mind back when I was chair of the under 18 Young Greens. So, an under 18 myself, I was tasked by a member of conference staff with looking after a 12-year-old conference to make sure that and to essentially safeguard them, which is not that's not something the organization should be doing anyway, but it's not something that the Green Party should be doing. And if that got out into, so we need to make sure that not only we have these policies in place that are really like robust, but also that we advertise them and make sure that they're available to people and make sure people know where to go to get those policies rather than just thinking on their feet, essentially.
Cool. Yeah. Next question, again from Kat, which is, what would you do to improve how we get legal advice?
Dylan, I feel that this is the natural one again for me to jump in on being a qualified lawyer. Um, um, I am continually shocked and horrified and outraged by how much we are spending on legal advice, and have been very proud to assist with the motion going to conference about appointing in-house legal advisors, and to actually go through, it's a horrible phrase that lawyers have sort of kept around, but to beauty parade other lawyers, because we have put all of our eggs in the Bateswell basket, and we are paying them on average more than we paid my entire legal team in one of my areas, which included sort of 8 lawyers full-time working, and it wasn't equivalent to that. I find that absolutely outrageous. I have raised this repeatedly that I think it's outrageous, and have then helped with the motion to say this is outrageous. We absolutely need to have a decent in-house lawyer or legal team who are able to then give focused and sensible instruction to any external lawyers we need, all of which will reduce the cost and which will enable us to have on-tap legal advice, to be able to just have that rolling knowledge of how the party works, and to be able to advise sort of ad hoc quickly to get things turned around. Because a lot of the problem isn't just the cost of it, but the time it takes to get legal advice. And having an in-house lawyer will mean things like the misogyny guidance that GPRC have been working on can go straight to an in-house lawyer who knows what's going on, who knows how the party works, who knows how all of our governance and conference works, and can just very quickly get that advice back. And that will speed up an awful lot of processes as well.
Did you
Yes,
want to
yes,
add on
100%
anything?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, Melanie is the qualified lawyer here. I'm not, so I'm not going to.
Yeah, cool. I just you didn't mention anything, so I was just checking. Yash Pine, is this a question for Melanie and Dylan? Um, just checking. The wait, the response.
If it is, I'm going to defer entirely to Dylan because apps and
Yeah, but like,
technology are
I'm
not
the
my
one who did
thing.
the Are you here, Yash Prime?
Yes, I am. Oh my goodness, I was literally trying to like unmute. Sorry about that. But no, it was Neptune's just a social media app that when Trump was banning TikTok in the United States, it also became a bit popular over in the United Kingdom. Just because I don't know whether or not any of you guys use TikTok, but there is more right-wing content being pushed out. So I'm wondering whether or not signing up on just new social media apps and trying to keep up to date with anything new, especially, would be helpful.
Yeah, I mean that's mainly an external comms kind of thing. So our comms team, which is led by the external communications coordinator, but also the amazing comms team, staff team, and less kind of us kind of managing the direction of that. I think in terms of kind of more broadly as people in the Green Party, I think we need to get our voices out there a lot more. We know that young people have very different ways of accessing media to a lot of previous generations, and that's created real challenges for traditional kind of political messaging. And it's allowed the populist, but also like racist rhetoric to seep in via reform, via the kind of algorithmic way that social media works these days. And so, but I think we can harness that and take it back and to try and use an algorithmic system to engage people and make sure that the Green Party is that kind of populist vision on the left that can counteract reform on that. In terms of the specific social media site Neptune, I'm not particularly familiar. I am on TikTok, but that's just me. I post silly videos about Charlie XCX and my cats, which is, I don't think, particularly relevant to the Green Party, unless, well, the Green Party did have Charlie XCX branded posters last year, so I'm not, never say never.
We do have a Green Party Cats Facebook group, but
We
this is me
did.
showing my age and my generation. It's the fact
I'm
that
also a member of it,
Facebook,
don't worry.
Facebook is where I mostly am. My children have banned me from having TikTok.
Cool. I guess yeah, we're going to be sort of running against the time now, so I guess closing statements if you have any, and
Um,
then
um, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I know this is very unprofessional, but I just would like to ask, what about Reddit as it is the front page of the internet?
yeah, do you want to respond to
No, I'm
that?
just asking, does anyone here like have insider knowledge of what the Green Party is doing in terms of like other social media? I'm quite new, so I'm just wanting to ask.
Yeah, we could have someone answer that once the this particular hustings is over. Until then, we'll do the closing statements, and then yeah, we can have a discussion about it. So closing statements from Dylan and Melanie.
Dylan, you go.
Yeah. So I think we offer a really kind of balanced perspective on this as a young non-binary person and a woman from in Wales who has a lot of legal experience. I have a lot of governance experience. I sit as a governor for for a major NHS trust. I'm a General Assembly member and policy member for the Royal Town Planning Institute, and I essentially until I think last week when I got made redundant, I worked in governance and democracy in Sheffield at a 30,000 member organisation for students. And essentially, I think we need to bring that perspective of new vision, uh, focused party that's focused on making sure we get the basics right, but also providing that baseline to make sure that we can achieve new heights and get dozens more MPs at the next general election, because you can't do that without a solid basis of staff, you can't do that with a solid basis of governance, you can't do that without a solid basis of the disciplinary system. We need a whole well-rounded holistic approach, and that's why we're standing for GPEx, and I'll hand over to Mel for the rest.
Yeah, I think Dylan was very kind in not saying an older woman, but I am an older woman. I'm not old, but I'm older. And I had a really great piece of advice given to me once, which is that you should always have a mentor who is younger than you. And for many years, whilst making fun of Vimto drinking, etc., Dylan has been that. And so it seemed a really natural fit when we had both been sort of thinking and umming and ahhing about this position and our sort of various sort of governance background and experience that actually we did join forces and come together because actually I think the combination of Dylan understanding TikTok and the world as it is now, and me bringing a sort of an older head and a legal background and a lot of governance experience, we bring a really unique combination, I think, and I think that that would make a really positive impact on GPEx. And I think that I have real confidence that in having those conversations with Dylan, that we do share a lot of similar ideas. We do have a lot of similar beliefs, and we have a very similar vision for the party in that we want it to be a safe place. We want it to be a successful place, and we want it to be a place where we can focus on our policies, not on bickering and arguing and governance not working. And I think that's really what we want to bring to this role. And so that's really why I'm very confident in doing that. And I think you'd not do too badly if you voted for us. So please do.
Cool. Thank you to you two for coming to the hustings and answering questions from our members. It's always greatly appreciated, especially to, I guess, considering that it's not usually the first choice of people to have for hustings. So yeah, thanks for coming along. Cool. Let me just